Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
We need right now a restoration of patriotism, because a generation taught to hate this country will refuse to defend it as well. Let that sink in for a while. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a Patriot. Come on, Patriots, with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell right here at Zeb at the Ranch, and we're so glad to have you with us and look forward to having you stay right here for the next 3 hours. Brought to you by, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for your vehicle to get you through whatever the winter weather throws at you, okay? And don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And also, Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have a real patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Atta boy. Well done, well done. Right now, let's go to the weather. I'm kind of anxious to hear how much of the angel dandruff we're going to get out there. K&R Rental with Roger and the crew at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. They bring you and me the weather forecast right off the bingo in the morning. And, of course, they're located right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. And they've got all the best of tools and equipment for you for whatever the project you're trying to finish. Long and short-term rental, you better get a hold of them today. If you have questions about what you need, call them, 678-3122, K&R Rental. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Clouds are clearing out, and we should see a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly cloudy skies for today. We are expecting a west wind at about 10 miles an hour. Could gust up to 28 miles an hour and a high of 32 tonight. Clouds clearing out with a low of about 19, and it's still going to be breezy. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of 31. Snow likely for Friday night. Winds are going to continue. Accumulations of 1 to 2 inches is possible, and we are expecting a low of 24. By Saturday, snow likely in the morning, then off and on throughout the afternoon as well. New snow accumulations of 1 to 2 inches is possible, and we're expecting a high of 36. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And don't forget Roger and the crew over at K&R Rental. They will help you any way possible over at K&R Rental, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Number to call, ask questions, and find out all the information you need about the equipment you need. K&R Rental, 678-3122 on the Burley-Paul Highway. Merv May, come on in here. Let's sell some cattle.
All right, hey, good set of steer calves there. Here to get all 31 moment and 31 going out and 32.
Oh, that's the chant of the world's best doggone auctioneer, Merv May, over at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, and the sale that works for you with Merv and Cade Rogge and Lance Udy, the whole crew. And today is sale day, starting at 10 a.m. They're going to have, hey, old Rockin' Rod Kendall of Rupert's bringing in 70 head of yearlings, and Mark Johns of Malad, 50 head head of yearlings. P-Bar S Dairy out at Malta bringing in 76 head of Holstein steers. Lee Matthews over to Raft River. Hello, Lee, 40 head of 650-pound heifers. Butcher cows coming in from Acme Dairy and Antelope Hills Dairy. And like I said, they'll have a good trailer line run, and the sale starts at 10 a.m. Don't miss it today at the sale that works for you. The Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. Merv, sell those steers.
All right, he gets the steer calves there here to get all 31, 1.5, 31, 1.5, 32, 2.5, 3.5, 134, 4.5, 5.5, 5.5, 135, 50, 135, and $7.35. Zeb Mel, get the bottom again.
I'll tell you what, appreciate it, Merv. Thank you. And we've got a lot of ground to cover here this morning, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate your calls as we're going to be getting into quite a few various subjects here this morning. Number to call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric. They also open the doors early in the morning at 7:30, as a matter of fact, till 5 on Monday through Friday. They're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and they literally have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. They have been in business for almost 7 decades. Just think about that. That is a long time of service to the public in this area. Ramsey Heating and Electric. And the number to call, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Did you notice, I hope you did, because it's very noteworthy, that CNN and MSNBC really put their foot in it. It could be described as various things, with the so-called news stories that they ran at the height of tension between Iran and the United States. As a matter of fact, one of them, CNN, ran a story. It was either CNN or MSNBC. I don't want to make a definitive statement there. Caller, stand by. I'll be with you in a minute. Stating that over 30 American soldiers had died in the missile attacks. They made that statement without having any direct knowledge or confirmation. And that Trump was in complete disarray, and we were on the brink of total chaotic war. This is not journalism. It's not journalism at all. It's nothing but lies and perpetration of hate for this president. And these people in the media are absolutely nothing but losers. And I'm going to give you an example of that in just a moment. But first and foremost, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. At the Burley Senior Center today, we're having chicken fajita and all the trimmings. And tomorrow is shepherd's pie. And it's only $5 and all you can eat. And we're going to have yummy dessert both days.
All right. Now, chicken fajitas, that sounds really tasty, Joseph.
I just learned to say it, so I don't know how good it is. But it'll be great.
God bless you. We'll send everybody over to the Senior Center. Joe Taylor, God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy the snow.
I will, buddy. Thank you. I just learned how to say it, he said. Okay. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The absolute lunacy that's going on in the news media has got to be corrected. It's got to be corrected. They're making so many mistakes, so many allegings that are never even coming close to being true. And I'm going to talk about the Covington, Kentucky school boys in just a moment. Don't forget Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. They really care about your animals and their health care. So be sure and remember that. If you've got little dogs, kitty cats, whatever, or a great big herd of dairy cattle, horses, whatever the case might be, animals are going to get sick, animals are going to get injured, and you need to know who to call and what needs to be done. And you call Ark Animal Hospital at 678-1177. Don't forget that. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I just had to say something. Today, I learned from a friend whose son-in-law and daughter are in law enforcement that it's National Honor Law Enforcement Officers Day. So I just thought I would announce that if anybody is interested in honoring those that they know.
You know, Linda, it's interesting because we must be on the same brain wave, because that was my second story I was going to get into this morning. It's National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and a lot of the folks around the country are asking the public to wear something blue in respect of our officers and police, and when you see them, go up, shake their hand, and tell them thank you for everything they do.
Okay. Thank you. I'm so sorry I took away your story.
No. You added to it. By all means, you added to it, and I thank you for that. And you have a blessed day, okay?
Thank you. I'm just going to have to call a person I know and say thank you because I can't get out. But anyway, thank you, Seth.
You're welcome. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. Yeah, she's right. Today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and I was watching some of that unfold back in New York City earlier this morning, where they had on set at Fox and Friends probably 50 to 60 law enforcement officers, and it is true. Wear something blue today in respect of our police forces, and tell them thank you. Go up to them and say thank you for all you do 24/7, 365 to protect us, and we appreciate you. Absolutely. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. You know, every time I see a police officer, an EMT, a firefighter, or a military, I go up to them and I say thank you for our service to our community or our country.
God bless you for doing that. And, you know,
sometimes even when I'm at work, I break away from work if I see one, and I go over and I shake their hand and tell them thank you.
You know, let me just...
Depending on what they do, you've got a tough job. You know, you be careful. The roads are slick.
Yep. Let me just jump in. Stay on the line with me just for a second, please. What you said made my eyes water a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Because my son is assistant fire captain up there in Boise, and a very dangerous job, being a firefighter, a policeman, whatever the case might be. And I heard somebody very calloused on my program call about a year or 2 years ago, I can't remember when, and he said, well, they're just doing it as a job like everybody else. And I says, no. When an accountant goes to his job, he's not expecting to die. When a lawyer opens up his office, he doesn't expect that he may have a hardship, an injury, or die at that job. The same way with any other job, being a cook, a chef, whatever the case might be. These people that work in protection for us, firemen, policemen, etc., they have a job, certainly, but they're also every day with their life on the line.
Every day they could lose their life.
Absolutely. And it's very close to me for what you said, and God bless you for it. Thank you.
And I tear up just like I am now because I'm so appreciative of what they do.
Well, I'm right there with you. Thank you, lady, and don't you at all be embarrassed. I'm proud of you. Thank you.
I'm not.
All right, that a girl. Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you. Yeah, my wife and I, we worry every single day about Jake's safety. And you never know. What could happen might happen. And some of the circumstances, some of the people, there's a lot of bad people out there. And regardless of whether you're a policeman or a fireman, it's a very dangerous job. Very dangerous. We salute all of them. All of them. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, have they got some new menu choices to add to the delicious choices they already had. I mean, listen to this. Parmesan chicken sizzling skillet. I'm watering in the mouth already. And then they've got, listen to this, roasted and fried Brussels sprouts with a honey cider glaze. And along with the strawberry crepes, if you have never had those strawberry crepes, believe me, that's the first thing. Deanne sits down, doesn't even pick up the menu, says, bring me the strawberry crepes, please. All of it delicious. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time at America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North, Overland and Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. The home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Absolutely. Really good folks. Oh, by the way, don't forget, next Monday is a very, very important day for us right here on Zeb at the Ranch. At 10:30 in the morning next Monday, every Monday, we're going to be carrying the Idaho Legislative Update, and it's sponsored by Handy Truck Lines. I very much appreciate Clay and the crew over there at Handy Truck Lines, serving businesses all over the Northwest. You can depend on Handy Truck Lines. They deliver. Absolutely. That's going to be next Monday, and I understand that our first guest is going to be Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke. So we're going to kind of catch an overall synopsis of what's being done, what needs to be done, and what's going to be addressed. So he'll be on the program next Monday at 10:30. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to get back to the media and how absolutely blatantly dumb they are. I don't care if somebody's offended by that, because it's the truth. The liberal media needs a good slap in the face to wake up and start being journalists again. Once again. Remember the Covington, Kentucky youth that was nose-to-nose with an Indian with a tom-tom, and that Indian just stood there and kept beating that tom-tom in his face? The Kentucky young man, hold on, caller, I'll be right with you, did nothing, said nothing, and made no movement. There was no harassment whatsoever. But yet the CNN people changed that entire story to where this young man was being harassed, or the young man was harassing the Indian with the tom-tom, and they said that the young man was a racist. Well, when the chips all hit the floor, that's not the way the story was at all. As a matter of fact, it was in reverse. The Indian with the tom-tom created the problem. And CNN is paying out big bucks right now to this young man and also other members of the school. And they're writing a big check because they stepped in it, and now they have to pay for it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. We're going back to St. Soleimani.
Are we going back to him?
I don't know. Can we talk about him this morning?
Oh, Tony, yeah, go ahead. I'll let you shift gears a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay, his whole goal was to destabilize the whole Middle East. And he didn't care how many dead bodies he left behind. So this news media that's trying to paint him as a saint,
yeah,
they ought to shut down. Just keep their mouth shut.
The liberal left, and especially people like Jim Acosta with CNN and others on MSNBC that aren't even noteworthy enough to mention their names personally, they're garbage when it comes to being journalists, have, like you said, almost elevated Soleimani to sainthood, and that he was some kind of a well-revered person. Let's just say this, that if our news media is going to start giving credence and credibility and honoring to our enemies, we've really got a problem.
Well, we would have lost control of our oil fields and a whole lot of other stuff if this guy remained alive. So God bless Donald Trump.
I go along with that 100%. And I just absolutely wonder what it's going to take. What is it going to take, my dear friend, for the news media, not all of them, but most of them, what is it going to take for them to start acting in a professional, journalistic manner again and state and quote the facts and not come up with these predisposed ideas of Donald Trump is bad, Donald Trump is evil, everything he did or does is part of being a traitor? I'm fed up with this.
Well, it's going to take a major attack by the enemies in this country and major damage to open some eyes.
I am really concerned. I cannot remember what senator or congressman said this yesterday, so I'm a little bit at fault for not writing it down. But there was an interview between a congressman and a senator yesterday on one of the networks, and he stated that if we don't change, and that's why I brought that up in the beginning of the program this morning about patriotism, if we don't change our education system and demand that there's more of a patriotic attitude and more study of our history, we're not going to have a generation that's going to stand up for this country.
Well, the teacher profession's got too many protective areas. They're being protected by too many people, and the average guy cannot do anything about what's covering these people.
Well, I agree with you, Tony, but I, for one, I'm not going to weaken on this. I'm sick and tired of our patriotism, the study of our Constitution, the study of our value system, the study of what all the blood, sweat, and tears went into this country. It's being overlooked, and I think it's high time to point the finger at education and say and demand that they clean up their act.
Well, we have fairgrounds around here, and there should be mass numbers of people get together and object to what's going on, put a stop to this garbage.
Yeah, and one person or two people can't put it all together. I mean, it's got to be a combination of a lot of people saying enough is enough. And, when you say that, my dear friend Eddie Donegal at Christmas time gave me a beautiful picture of an eagle flying in front of an American flag with the tone saying, "God bless America." And every time I think about patriotism, I see this flag flowing in the breeze with the sunshine in the background and that eagle, and I'm wondering, what is it going to take for the left, the millennials, and these absolute crackpots that live in Hollywood to stand up and realize they live in the greatest country in the world ever?
Well, it's going to take a big uprising, maybe start with the veterans that had enough of the crap that's going on right now.
Amen.
I'm one of them that'll be right in with them.
Amen. Tony, always welcome. Thank you. God bless you, man.
All right. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you. Caller number 2, I'll be right there. I got to tell everybody about the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce annual installation banquet. I said that fast. Woo, got through it, baby. January 30th at the Best Western Burley Inn and Convention Center. The doors open at 6 p.m., and it's an evening of dinner, auction, installation of board members, plus honoring outstanding individuals. I'll tell you, you better be there. Call for tickets at the Chamber office, 679-4973. Don't forget, January 30th, Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce installation banquet. Nice people. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I wonder if this is going to be another one of those days when I come back together again. I'm wondering about this whole thing about the changes we've made in our history and the way we teach. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist because that's a dangerous mindset also. But I wonder if it is being promoted by people who want to bring our country down.
Oh, absolutely. I will be a conspiracy theorist because I've studied this. I've talked to people involved in education. I've talked to people back in D.C. I've talked to people that have been past hierarchy of our education across the board, and they, too, agree that there's a lot of money and there's a lot of under-the-table funding to eliminate a lot of the good stuff, if you will, about what's being taught in our schools. And the elimination of the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, we can't do the pledge because it takes up too much time. How much time does it take? 17 seconds, and that's ludicrous to even give that any credence whatsoever.
Oh, absolutely. Then, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist unless it's correct.
Well, I don't either, but I've got proof of what these people said.
Yeah. I don't know. We have got to change it.
Okay, but right there, Linda, how? I mean, there is a concentrated effort. Well, listen, look at what George Mass and Donna Mass and Senator Kelly Anthon and many others did at the Rupert City Park here this last year. I mean, they had a flag awareness and flag education day, and the fifth graders from all over that area of Minidoka County, there was like 400 or 500 of them. They were there at the city park, and honestly, it brought tears to my eyes. Those kids wanted to learn more about our flag, more about our country. Pardon me?
Get to those kids. And then how do we get to the textbook people and the people to change that?
Well, that's got to go through the parents, Linda. We've got to have
I think you're probably right.
We've got to have parents that are going to stand up and say, wait a minute. This is America, greatest land ever on the face of the earth, and we're going to support education that's going to promote patriotism for America. The parents have got to lay the law down and look in the eyes of the superintendents and the school board and say, boys, this is the way the goat's going to run through the garden.
Yep. Yeah, I guess Common Core is no longer a problem. Good, and I expect that was brought about by people who hated it.
No, Common Core still is a problem on a nationwide basis, and the acceptance of such.
I don't know.
I'm very, very leery of anything that has anything to do with two C's that come out Common Core. I don't like the programs. I think they've been a denigrating source to better education, and I mean that. Linda, that's number 2, and in order to meet your record of number 4, you still got 2 to go.
I know it. Thank you, Zeb. I appreciate all that good information.
All right, God bless you. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful lady right there. Appreciate her. I think it's great, and I mean that, underline the word great, that CNN is going to have to open the checkbook and, according to the judge's decision on that case, write a big check, a big fat check to the Covington, Kentucky youth. And maybe it'll start teaching some of these people like Acosta and Morning Joe on MSNBC and others. Maybe you better get your facts all straight before you shoot your great big mouth off. Maybe. Okay. Boy, I got to tell you that even some Democrats, if you didn't know this, you should be very aware of this. Even the Democrats like, listen to these names, Joe Manchin and Dianne Feinstein. Yeah, Feinstein from Nancy Pelosi's district in San Francisco. They've had enough of Nancy Pelosi holding the articles of impeachment. And they're coming out and they're just being verbally on the fight against Nancy. You hurried everything through the House. You made demands that we have to get this done now. We have to get these witnesses now. We have to have these articles of impeachment now. And then Mother Hen Pelosi is sitting on these articles of impeachment like they're a couple of eggs. Why were the Democrats in such a hurry? Why were they in such a hurry to get this through the House of Representatives? Why did we have to go through those hours and hours and hours of television? Why did I, because of my job here on this program, why did I have to sit through all those hours and hours and hours of absolute ridiculous testimony and everything else in the House chambers when now they're sitting on it and they're not doing a thing? What's the reason? What's the reason? Never in the history of the United States, ever, has a Speaker of the House tried to tell the Senate what to do and how to do it. And that's exactly what Nancy Pelosi is doing. She is telling Mitch McConnell that she's not going to do this until they do that. And we want to demand that you tell us what you're going to do here. Hey, folks, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Read and understand the Constitution and how it's set up. And the House, they can yell and scream and holler all they want to, but the Senate can close the door and the windows and just tell them to go to the beach. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. If Nancy Pelosi wanted more witnesses than that, why didn't they call them in the House?
Oh, there's so many why nots and ifs and how comes over what happened at the House. Doug, it was nothing but theater.
That's exactly it. It was a partisan political hit job to try to take out this president. And now that it's going to go to the Senate, they know they have no articles of impeachment because nobody can name a crime, a statute of a crime that President Trump committed.
Let me ask you a question right there. Do you think, now I'm kind of torn between this, and I want to get your opinion. Would you, as a citizen, like to see a long, lengthy, drawn-out, many witness trial, which you know if it goes to a vote, the Republicans are going to go ahead and nullify anything against Trump anyway? Or would you rather have them say right now on behalf of Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, Nancy, take your articles of impeachment and put them someplace where they can't be found because we're not going to give you any respect for them whatsoever?
Yes, and I'm torn also. One is they have nothing. But if the Senate does that, then the Democrats in the House will say, well, it wasn't fair. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. So I think it would be best if it did go to a trial, but let the White House counsel call their witnesses, like the whistleblower, Adam Schiff, his staff, Hunter Biden, and Joe Biden.
Absolutely. But here's the caveat here, Doug, and a lot of people are overlooking this. Tell me, of all the presidential possibles on the Democratic ticket, how many are senators? Go ahead. Tell me. There are 5.
4 or 5?
5. Now, what will they have to do if this goes to court? Those 5 senators are going to have to pack their little suitcase, go back to Washington, and stay in Washington until that trial is finished, and they cannot go out on the campaign trail, which is going to be a benefit for all of us.
Well, it'd be a benefit for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And Bloomberg and a couple of those other...
Oh, Tom Steyers. But Tom Steyers is like a leaf in the wind. He just blows along on the ground. Who knows where he's going to stop? He's ridiculous.
He is. And another thing, if it does go to trial, those senators, they can go campaign on the weekend.
Yeah.
But they cannot speak about the impeachment or the trial.
It puts a piece of duct tape over their mouth to the point where they can mumble, but they can't be heard. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Something I'd like to do to Pelosi and Schiff and Nadler.
But, here's this thing that I was listening to this morning, and maybe you heard it too, is that a lot of people are guesstimating that Pelosi's going to hide and hold onto these articles of impeachment until 2021. And then turn this whole mess loose again with more witnesses, and the entire structure of what they did in the House can be started all over again.
Yes, and they're filing in the judicial system to get the in the Mueller report, the grand jury testimony.
Yeah,
all that information they're filing to get that, and the judge told them, I thought the articles of impeachment were voted on and done. So there's more to come.
Yeah, but basically, if you file, now I could be wrong on this, and I'm gonna open it up and say that if I'm wrong on this part of the judicial aspects of the articles of impeachment, I stand corrected. I think once the articles of impeachment are filed, those are like affidavits of information that have been garnered, signed, sealed, and delivered, and are not to be reappropriated, reopened, and added on with addendums, I believe.
I believe you're correct. That is why she's not sending them over, because she wants more stuff. They're fishing.
Yep. Oh, boy.
More lines and more nets out in the water to see what they can collect.
I totally agree.
Nothing to collect.
I was so impressed. I got to tell you this. I was very impressed at the very measured and very calm manner that Donald Trump stood at the podium yesterday. and addressed this situation regarding Iran and a possible war. Did you notice what he said absolutely up front before he even said good morning to the people in the audience? What did he say first?
Iran, as long as I'm president, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon.
That set the stage for the entirety of what his speech was about. And he calmly said that. It wasn't irate. It wasn't a tantrum. It wasn't some fist slamming down on the podium. It was very calm and measured and look you in the eye and tell you to get out of Dodge City attitude.
Yeah, and what was the mainstream media focused on?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, it was...
He was sniffing. He wasn't breathing correct. I mean, they were focused on BS when here President Trump was talking softly, but he had a great big stick in his hand, and Iran knows it.
You know, I don't know how you feel about this, and the audience, I want you to chime in and give me your opinion. But it's so refreshing to me. I'm an old man. It's so refreshing to have a president that's going to stand up there and say, bring it on, big boy, and I'm ready to have the fight.
Well, I barely remember the last one. I wasn't paying much attention to politics when we had another one that was just like this, and that was Mr. Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, in my opinion, was the greatest president that ever was in the Oval Office for all the things he did, all the things he said, and all the things that he really pushed forth. And I think that there was yesterday a comparison in the calmness and the measured speech between Reagan and Trump. And I'm just fed up with capitulating and appeasement. I think we should tell these people, hey, don't do this. We're not going to stand for it. We're not going to jeopardize our American citizens or our bases or our military. Back off, Jack, or we're going to come down on you like a cat to a plate of milk.
Exactly. And one thing that I think is very, very disrespectful, disgraceful, for the Democrats to be voting on limiting President Trump's war power.
Yeah.
Isn't that in the Constitution?
Yeah, but it's there again. It's a twisting, a tweaking, a tearing apart, and a destruction of the Constitution as we know it. Look at the First Amendment. Look at the Second Amendment. Look at the digging and the tearing and the twisting the Democrats have done on those two amendments already, and they want to do more. I tell you, it's time to draw a line in the sand and say, if you step over that, I'm going to hit you over the head with a shovel.
And Virginia is doing that.
Yeah.
The Second Amendment.
Yeah.
The counties in Virginia, what is there, 130-some, I think, already? I may be mistaken on the exact number. But they have declared themselves a Second Amendment sanctuary.
Yeah. And we're going to have to look at that situation, I think, all across the United States.
Oh, yes. Definitely. Definitely. A guy that wore blackface so often, apparently they had a slang nickname for him.
Yeah. Of which I'm not going to go into, but anyhow.
I mean, so those people are such hypocrites. I mean, Joe Biden, most all the Democrats that are leading that party are hypocrites.
Yeah, but wait a minute. I draw the line a little bit on what you said, and then I got to go to the weather. I'm late. When you start having a fracturing of the Democratic Party with Joe Manchin, very, very well-known and well-respected Democrat, and Dianne Feinstein from Pelosi's area, and they say they've had enough, Nancy, lay down the articles of impeachment and get on with things, you know that there's trouble in River City, and it's not the trombone player with a sore lip.
That's exactly right. That's the big people in the Democratic Party are sending a message to Nancy Pelosi. You messed up. Let's close this door and move on.
Amen. I got to run. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, let's do what you can for senior centers. I mean, support them, donate to them. Go visit Joe over there and have lunch and have some yummy dessert.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Thank you. Want to remind you as we go to the weather forecast that Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, they really serve the community. I know many people that have gone over there for their hearing health care, and they really appreciate what was done for them. Call for an appointment today at 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. They're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Clouds are clearing out, and we should see a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly cloudy skies for today. We are expecting a west wind at about 10 miles an hour. Could gust up to 28 miles an hour and a high of 32 tonight. Clouds clearing out with a low of about 19, and it's still going to be breezy. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of 31. Snow likely for Friday night. Winds are going to continue. Accumulations of 1 to 2 inches is possible, and we are expecting a low of 24. By Saturday, snow likely in the morning, then off and on throughout the afternoon as well. New snow accumulations of 1 to 2 inches is possible, and we're expecting a high of 36. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zephyr.
Oh, my goodness sakes, angel dandruff on the forecast. And, of course, for better hearing, I urge you to call our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Number to call to make an appointment, let them help you, 312-0957. Once again, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. You get a hold of them today. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Want to also remind everybody about Berry Equipment and Rental. Ooh, yeah, they got all the equipment to get the job done. Whether you're lifting something, digging something, pushing something, or carrying something, they've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators and all the bobcats and all the shapes and sizes, everything. Oh, yeah. I mean, when it comes to getting the job done, get a hold of Berry Equipment and Rental. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location for the best, serving you, Berry Equipment and Rental. Caller, you are on the air.
Well, I got a call from a friend of mine who is reliable source. Now, I can't prove this, so this is me saying this.
Okay, hold it a second. When you say, Randy, wait a minute. When you say that you can't prove this, well, let's preface our remarks by saying you do not work for CNN or MSNBC.
No, I'm a concerned citizen.
Okay.
But I was told that she took $2.5 million out of Social Security fund to help fund impeachment. And I just was told this just now. And it was by more than one person. Now, I'm no journalist, but I might be better than CNN or MSNBC.
No, I agree with you, but now I'm going to have Deanne start doing some detective work on that, because first of all, when you say that money was taken out of a program like Social Security, I want to know the who's, the whys, the how comes, the paper signed, who had the power to do that or acknowledge it. I'm going to do some checking on that.
Well, the kind of dirty dealings that are going on back there, and when you're the majority party in the House, and the things that they can do, and you know as well as I do, keeping track of it, and when you have a deep state that covers, how do who's got time to dig it? I tell you what, and I wouldn't put it past them, not one bit.
Yeah.
And Schiff is trying to get back in the mix again. I tell you what, man, it is absolutely sickening, isn't it?
I don't know what's going to happen over the next few months as we get deeper and deeper and deeper into the campaigning for the election coming up in November. I don't see anything. Please jump in and tell me if I'm wrong. I don't see anyone on the Democratic side that has even a tenth of the qualifications to become president of the United States. None of them are very smart. None of them are very sharp. And I'm going all the way down to Tom Steyer's. And so with the Democrats, knowing that they've got a bunch of losers on their possible ticket, I guess the only thing they can do is go after the president now, President Trump, and harass him until they think maybe he's going to walk away. I don't know.
he's not going to leave, and the people would feel betrayed if he did. And every president, Obama, Clinton, George Bush Sr., the original Iraq War, he never got any okay. He just went ahead and did it. George Bush Sr. And then Obama and Clinton did the same things, and now they got Trump trying to hold him accountable after he took care of something. And you know what? The world knows better than to screw with Mr. Donald J. Trump and our military. And if you're in the military, would you not be proud to have him as a commander?
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question real quick. Give me a short answer on this because I've got another commercial to do. But even here in this state of Idaho, we hear the griping, the moaning, and I replace those two words by not using another word. But we hear these people on the Democratic Party, even here in the state of Idaho, griping about, the Republicans have got control of this, and the Republicans have got control of that, and the GOP is in control of that. Well, the simple answer to those people that are doing the griping and the complaining is, maybe your party, the Democratic Party, doesn't have anybody worthwhile to even think about putting in those offices. That's the problem.
Well, they don't. And the only person they say that might have a chance of beating Mr. Trump would be Michelle Obama. And she's like untouchable. You can't say one thing about her, at all.
Want to bet?
So you're just, because she's such a prized,
Easy. God bless you, man. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Thank you. Caller, good morning. I've got about 1 minute. Go ahead, please.
Deb, something eating at me is this stripping of war powers from the president. I just don't want to see us building another memorial to soldiers or others lost because we failed to react to a threat.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. I think, and it was stated earlier this morning, Earl, and I think you'll concur, that our soldiers, I believe, of the ones that I've talked to, and some of the generals I've talked to, like General Spaulding, that's been on my program many times, they are proud of this president. They are proud of what he's trying to do. They are proud of the way he's backing them up, and I don't want to see that lessened.
Well, this selling ourselves out, and it's been going on since after World War II, has not been in the interest of our country.
No, not at all. Earl, you're a very wise sage up there on the mountain, and I certainly appreciate it. I hate to hurry you along, but I got to do a commercial right now. But God bless you, man, and have a great day, okay?
See you, man.
Thanks, Earl. He's 100% right. I really appreciate the fact that Trump did that speech yesterday with members of the military standing right there behind him, rock solid, and Trump, has got their back. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and I mean that. They've got everything you need for your safe driving, the best of tires for whatever the weather throws at you. I mean, holy moly. You stop in, they've got all the sizes, all the tread designs, everything. And they've got all your tire chains, too, and teach you how to put them on. I never could do that right. Anyway, back in Wisconsin, and it left me sitting in a snowbank many times. They've got the best in brake service and front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries and everything. So you be sure and stop in and see them today. They are the best at what they do. And, of course, the number one thing is service to you. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Here's what's cooking for the rest of the morning. Next hour, we have a little visit with Penny Main from the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce. Then we're going to be talking to Josh Greenwell. And it's a taped conversation that we had yesterday, as a matter of fact, regarding Burley Physical Therapy and Elite Fitness. So we're going to be talking to them at 9:17. At 9:30 this morning, Rita's not going to be with us today. And I asked a dear friend of mine, Gary Shoresman. You know Gary. I mean, he is a Magic Valley history buff. And I said, you know something that came to mind the other day in a conversation with my wife and I? Where did all these towns in Magic Valley get their names? I mean, like Oakley or Filer or Declo or Jerome and that type of thing. And he's going to give us a little dissertation on that at 9:30. And then as the day goes along, we've got Cassia County School Days, the Business Salute, and then at 10:30, one of the best and most notable political analysts in the country, Dan Perkins, is going to be on our program talking about this mess with Iran and also North Korea. So don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch, I'll be back in 7. Oh, my. We've got quite a bit of snow on the ground out there this morning, which means yours truly is going to be doing a little snow plowing after the program's over. Morning, brought to you by our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the very best of tires to get through anything that the weather throws at you. You stop in and see them today. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Want to remind you, too, about our dear friend Joel Heward, his family and staff, serving you over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And the number to call, 436-5636. Again, that number, 436-5636. When there is the passing of a loved one, they are there to serve the families with the best possible support and comfort, and always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Once again, please remember Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, and that number, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Thank you very much. Want to also remind you that we've got some dear friends right over there on Highway 24, 270 Highway 24. Let's ride. Holy moly, the very best of snowmobiles, snow bikes. Those snow bikes are really the in thing, man. A lot of people are getting those. Well, the place to go is Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. Don't put it off. Get there today. All the accessories and a super service department to keep you running at Let's Ride. Like I said, they're on 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Well, I'll tell you where there's a fun place, and that's over at the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce as they're getting ready for their great big January 30th luncheon and banquet. I should say banquet. It's in the evening, and of course, here is the president and CEO, the lovely Penny Main.
Bless your heart. I need to start paying you for all of that really good PR you give me every day.
Well, I'll tell you what, little remuneration would be appreciated. Check, cash, or money order, or your credit card number would be fine.
You probably don't want me writing you a check, but at any rate, we'll get that figured out. We'll work that out between the two of us. How are things going with you?
I can honestly say this, at 72 years of age when it's going to slow down, how come everything is going so much faster and there's so much more to do?
I'm with you, friend. I know exactly how you feel. Believe you me, I do know that. Hey, thanks for mentioning our actual the installation banquet. As mentioned, we're not going to have a chamber luncheon this month due to preparation for our installation banquet, but we're so excited about it. It comes January 30th, and I know, Zeb, you're going to be part of that, so thank you for that. Hats off to Nature Nursery and Market here locally. They are our title sponsor, so we're really grateful to them for stepping up and helping us make this big event happen. But this is a great time when we honor our, employers of the year and bosses of the year and our farmers of the year. We also install our new board of director members. And so we're really looking forward to that. Great food and fun will be had by all. So if you need tickets, you need to call us right away, and please reserve your tickets. We do have a limited amount of those, so call the Chamber 679-4793. We do have a couple of table sponsorships available as well, so if you're interested in sponsoring a table at the event, again, there's still a couple of opportunities left, but just give us a call here at the Chamber. We'll be happy to help you.
I was trying to rent a old-fashioned Western tuxedo, with the longer kind of a frock coat type thing, longer tails, and I couldn't find one. And is a tuxedo necessary?
No, sir, it's not. It's probably more than casual dressing, obviously, but you do not need to rent a tuxedo. Absolutely not.
Okay, well, so much for that.
Yeah, you're good. It would be great to have that kind of an event, but I think typically people get a little more dressed up, but it's certainly not a formal event, so you don't worry about that. You come in your cowboy hat and your Wrangler Levi's and your cowboy boots, and you'll be doing just fine and dandy.
I learned a long time ago never to wear a very expensive hat to a banquet because some people have a tendency to sit on them.
Isn't that true? I so agree. Anyway, we're looking forward to having you there. So it's going to be lots of fun. Again, still some opportunities available, so please reach out to us here at the Chamber. Again, 679-4793.
Okay.
Let me just move on down. Is that what you'd like me to do?
I would like you to rapid fire.
Okay, I'm going to fire right now. A quick reminder about the VFW Post 3043 all-you-can-eat breakfast on January 18th from 8 a.m. until noon. Great benefit, good food. We do know that. $10 for adults. Families of 4, $25, and kids under 2 eat free.
I got to tell you, I got to interrupt you right there because you would not believe how much I scratched my head and couldn't figure out what on my program sheet that you sent me AYCE meant. I was really stumped on that one.
Well, I am so happy. That totally made my day because I think I win today on the contest.
You haven't heard my question yet.
Anyway, it's going to be a great deal of fun and always a good event. And these folks just, are so kind and do so much for our area. So support the VFW. Again, that is the 18th, 8 to noon at their facility on Highland Avenue. Project Mutual presents their Lunch and Learn event. They do this quite often. Again, January 23rd. This is focused on businesses primarily. You can learn about how IT works if you need a full-time IT employee, if you need to add a server or a network, if you just have any basic questions about how all of that works. And thank goodness for the good folks at PMT because they've got the answers to that. So it's all free, and again, it happens from noon to 1 on January 23rd. For more details on that, however, get a hold of PMT, and you can find them at pmt.org.
Okay, now you've got some more.
Yeah, a couple more, and then we'll be finished here. But Grace Church, one of our chamber members, in cooperation with the Tim Tebow Foundation, and we all know who Tim Tebow is, a great young man, and has created this foundation to do good throughout the world. Grace Church is one of a few churches throughout the world, actually, that has been designated to host this event on February 7th. It's called A Night to Shine, and 650 churches throughout 24 countries are celebrating at the same time a prom to remember for persons with special needs. And Grace Church has picked up on this and is running with it. It's going to be awesome. An unforgettable night for sure. I've got a phone number if you're interested in helping, or if you have someone with special needs that might be able to take advantage of a really fun evening. Give this number a call, 670-2274. Again, that's 208-670-2274.
Okay. And what about becoming a member of the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce?
Well, we'd love to have you become one, that's for sure. And it's easy. You can contact the Mini-Cassia Chamber right here, 679-4793. Again, that's 679-4793. Make sure you like us on Facebook. Check out our website at minikajachamber.com. And typically, unless we're at an event, we're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. We'd love to have you be part of it. As I keep saying, it's a great time to be in business in Minikaja, and our membership is growing, and we'd love to have you be part of that. So, again, welcome to the Minikaja Chamber of Commerce. We'd love to have you.
See, folks, she thinks that this is the end of the program, but it's not, because we can't end the program without a little trivia contest, because her record, by the way, I've kept track of it, is 1 correct, 4 no corrects. Here's the answer.
I know what all you can eat means.
E-Y-C-E. I do now. But I can tell you this much. This is an easy question, and you're going to look like a... Yeah, but you're going to get this one. This is an ace in the hole for you.
You say that every time, too.
All right. Do you remember the 1987 movie Dirty Dancing?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Who were the 2 stars?
Patrick Swayze.
Yep.
And, oh no, I just saw a bit on this on Entertainment Tonight. Give me one clue.
I'll give you the 2 initials of this lady's name, J.G.
Last name, Gray.
That a girl. You're almost there.
First name with a D?
The J.
Oh, J. Jennifer Gray.
Holy smokes. It's a good thing it wasn't on the time clock, because we'd have had to stop the clock and use a calendar, but she did come up with the right answer.
I know. Geez, I needed help on that. I just saw a bit on that last night, too, on Entertainment Tonight. I thought, you've got to be kidding, Penny. But anyway, do I get like half right?
Oh, yeah, and your prize is in the mail. I'm sure that the Publishers Clearinghouse will be delivering it probably in the next month.
Yeah, and I believe that, too.
Okay. All right.
Well, anyway, it was great doing business with you, Zeb, as always.
Hey, listen, we're going to send everybody to the great big installation. That's a new way to spell it. Put a G in there, and you're all set. Installation Banquet on the 30th, and Penny Main, President and CEO of the Minnetonka Chamber of Commerce, thank you so much.
Bless you, friend. Say hi to Deanne. You guys have a great day.
We will. Thank you much. Nice lady right there is doing a great job, and we appreciate it. And I've got a call coming in. I'm just going to tell these people on my cell phone, call me back at 11, please. I'm on the air right now. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. And let's see. Right now, I've got to tell you, too, about our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The number to call, make an appointment for all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, serving you. They're very dedicated and responsive, so get a hold of them today. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, 436-4424. Right now, it's time to visit with some really, really good friends of ours in helping you get back to being you. And that's, of course, our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. And today, we're going to be talking to Josh Greenwell. Wheels, if you would, please.
Right now I get a chance to talk to some real good friends of mine, and I mean that because they've helped me and a lot of exercise programs, the use of their hydrotherapy pool. I'm talking about the great folks over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And right now we've got Josh Greenwell, and he is a doctor of physical therapy. Good morning, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Zeb. How are you?
Well, you know, it's such an interesting time to talk to you because you're a young man that really has put your education to good use, and now here you are, a doctor of physical therapy. What does that mean exactly? Explain that to us.
I went through a a graduate program and received a doctorate degree to practice physical therapy, which means I've studied physical examination and evaluative techniques so that I can help you and whoever else walks through the door with their musculoskeletal and neuromuscular pain and dysfunction.
I would imagine that after the hours and hours and days and months of study of the human anatomy, there's not much you don't know about the old bones and muscles, right?
Yeah, we covered bones and muscles especially pretty extensively in school, and then we have to keep up on all of that as we continue to get continued certifications and extra education credits in order to maintain our license. So we stay very up to date on the latest research, as well as staying up to date on our knowledge of anatomy and physiology.
You know, I was going to ask you about that, Josh, because let's say that it's a broken arm and people need to have therapy to get back into full motion, or maybe it's a broken leg or back problems or whatever. How do you keep up on all the innovative ideas?
Good question, Zeb. It's getting easier and easier as time goes on, honestly, with the advent of the Internet over the last 20, 30 years. I've got access to as much information as I want, essentially, with the click of a button. And so I try to spend 30 minutes or so each day just perusing through the latest research so that I can stay up to date on the most effective practice and treatment methods for a variety of different ailments.
Okay, now one of the issues I wanted to talk about this morning, and we've touched on it in other programs, but I think it bears mentioning again, is that you have at your location the only hydrotherapy pool around this entire part of southern Idaho. Why? Why is hydrotherapy so valuable?
Yeah, so as you said, we're the only place in the area that has our own in-house pool to do this in, and it's very advanced. There's a treadmill in the bottom of it and jets so that you can walk or swim against resistance, and we find it very beneficial, especially for people with lower extremity as well as back pain or conditions, because the buoyancy of the water takes a lot of the stress off of your joints and off your spine, so that you can walk and function in a weight-reduced environment and pain-reduced as well because of that decreased stress.
Josh, I know that they use hydrotherapy a lot for horses, racehorses, etc. Was it designed first and foremost for animals, or was it the human condition that they designed this therapy?
As far as the initial uses of it, a lot of things can go back and forth between humans and animals, and which came first, I couldn't tell you. However, the pool we have is certainly well suited for any sort of human condition you can think of.
How do you know, I mean, this is kind of probably a very naive question, but how do you know in water therapy, the hydrotherapy, that you're being successful as you would on exercises on land? How do you know?
So a lot of that has to do with the assessments we perform once they get out of the water and get on land. Are their movement patterns improved? Are they stronger? Do they have less pain? And as we assess those things on land, we can best view how well they're doing with the hydrotherapy that way.
Okay. Now, are there any certain cases that have a prominence to use the hydrotherapy over others?
Yeah, absolutely. We use them a lot for our joint replacement patients who've recently had a knee or a hip replaced so that they can just get some pressure off of that new joint, as the beginning phases following that surgery can be particularly painful. We also like to use it for our back pain patients because a lot of taking off the pressure from that spine can do a lot for alleviating that pain in the back, which we know is pretty debilitating for a large percentage of people.
Now, after the hydrotherapy is over, let's say, do you do or use a lot of the same schematics of exercise on land, on the tables, et cetera, to keep the patients going, or is hydrotherapy the last type of exercise?
We like to start with hydrotherapy, actually. Obviously, as humans, we don't spend a lot of time working in the water, and so the key and really the name of the game for physical therapy is getting you back to your optimal level of function. And for us, where we spend so much time on land, that is to getting you back to doing the things that you like to do on land, be it riding your horse or running or exercising or playing tennis or picking up your grandkids, anything like that.
I see. I want to also inject right now in the time remaining that Nick Greenwell, your dad, made a great big wise choice to purchase a fitness center. It's called Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley, and that kind of goes hand in hand with what you're doing over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Kind of a hand-in-glove situation, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. We have loved being affiliated with Elite Fitness over there across town, and it has been tremendous help for our patients as they get discharged from skilled care here at the rehab clinic to have a place to go to continue to address any remaining weaknesses that they can handle more on their own as long as they have the proper resources. So we are very grateful to be able to provide those resources to our patients and really get them from all the way from A to Z as far as their rehab journey goes.
Okay. Now, with the Elite Fitness, I understand that you're going to be having an open house here pretty soon. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, we are in 2 or 3 weeks. We don't have an exact date set down yet, but it's very close. We're going to do an open house for people to come in and check out our equipment and ask about the group fitness classes. We'll also have some specials available that day for people to sign up if they're interested in getting a membership. They're very reasonable. Some of the, even without the special, they're some of the cheapest in the valley, and be able to also help people get set up on the right exercises that will help them achieve their goals.
Absolutely. I mean, fitness, and then if there's an accident or a surgery, you can help them get back into being themselves at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. What's the best number to call and find out more?
Yeah, you can reach our clinic at area code 208-678-1191 and talk with either me or any of the other clinical staff here, and we'd be more than happy to help you.
Josh, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your being on our program this morning. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to reiterate 2 great businesses, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, and their affiliation with Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Josh, thank you so much for being on the program. God bless, and keep everybody fit.
Thank you very much, Zeb. Appreciate you.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. A sharp young man, Josh Greenwell, representing Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation and Elite Fitness. Thank you very much. Want to remind you that next Monday, right here on Zeb at the Ranch at 10:30, we're going to have our first installment of the Idaho Legislative Update. That's going to be next Monday at 10:30, brought to you by Handy Truck Lines. Handy Truck Lines, serving businesses all over Idaho and the surrounding states. You can depend on Handy Truck Lines. They deliver, and we certainly appreciate their help in sponsoring Idaho Legislative Update for 2020 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Want to also give you a great big shout out about some friends of ours over at Dino's Septic Service. You know, they do the job that you and I, you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be standing out there pumping out a septic tank or liquid waste removal or sewer and sink drain lines cleaned and all that. No. And they've got a complete backhoe service and septic inspections. They do it all. They do it all. And believe me, they've expanded to better serve more people here in southern Idaho. Dino Septic Service, the number to call, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638. Fast, fair, and friendly service for you. At Dino Septic Service, you give our friends a call today. Really, really good folks. Let's see, what else have I got cooking here real fast. I had this public service announcement I've got to get on. And the Mini-Cache Veterans of Foreign Wars will be sponsoring a fundraising breakfast on January 18th from 8 to noon. Pancakes, eggs, bacon, sausage, assorted drinks, all you can eat, $10 per adult, $25 for a family of 4. People under 3 and over 80 eat free. Ho ho! And for any questions, call Clark Dixon, the commander, at 208-650-9652. Okay? Let's see what else is there. Right now, I think we're going to go to the phone line, and I am very honored to have this next gentleman on my program. He's not only a real history buff about what took place in southern Idaho and the surrounding area, but he's also a darn nice guy. Good morning, Gary Shoresman. How are you?
Good morning back to you, and hallelujah. That was a nice entry.
Well, always, you're appreciated, Gary. I certainly appreciate all your effort. You've been very interesting coming on the program and telling us a lot of things I had no idea in history, especially how from Europe to here, Russia to here, some of the correlating problems, and I thought it's always been very interesting and entertaining. The one thing I wanted to ask you about, and I think a lot of people, they from out of state, or maybe they're just visiting for a little bit out of the country, whatever. How did the various towns in southern Idaho get their names? And I know you, of all people, are going to have kind of a response as to maybe it was this senator or maybe it was this cowboy, but tell us about some of the towns.
Well, I will if you promise not to ask me about towns I don't mention.
I promise.
Well, it's really interesting because mining and, of course, opening up the country and really got into here, and, of course, water. So I'll start down in the Twin Falls area with Ira Burton Perrine. He was born back in Indiana, and he was pretty well educated, mid-college level, and in 1883 he came out west to the Wood River where he became a miner. And then he was also always looking for other things, and then he went into the dairy business and became very successful at selling milk to the miners. And then while he's grazing his cattle around and this and that, he then discovers the Snake River down at Blue Lakes, which is where he is best known for, and then a bridge is named after him, the Perrine Bridge. But anyway, he was one of those young guys that came out, but he was also one of those who hooked up with well-educated men already at the time. So he started out with he wanted to claim the water. He thought there's some way that they get water to the land, and so he went down to Salt Lake and got a couple of promoters, and one who's he really sought out people who were equipped for such a task. Anyway, the promoters he needed, and S.B. Milner of Salt Lake City, together with Peter Kimberly and Frank H. Buell of Sheridan, Pennsylvania, financed the undertaking. Now, these guys came out here, and they were already well educated, and so now we know where our towns came from. There's Milner, there's Kimberly, and Buell are all named out of these guys that wanted to start that irrigation project. And then Filer was named after Walter Filer, a civil engineer, and he became general manager of the canal to deliver water to the inside our south side tract. And anyway, that main canal splits into a low and high line canals, and about 2 miles downstream from Murtaugh Lake. Now, Murtaugh, Filer worked for Stanley Milner, we knew that, and it was through Filer that engineers, Mark Murtaugh, a college classmate, and Paul Bickle, former engineering colleagues. These guys were way early on, came out here. They were very well educated and really good entrepreneurs and young and ready to go.
Gary, Gary, if I can ask you a question. You mentioned Milner, and I was not born and raised out in this country. I was born and raised back in the Midwest. But what caused the demise and the end to the town of Milner?
Well, generally just the growth of other towns. See, and then we have World War I, we have World War II, and then just kind of like what happened out at, say, Kaimana and Adelaide, those in Minidoka, there was greater places to be and more land to be had elsewhere. And the bank people didn't go to the bank there anymore, just like those towns of Hazleton and Eden, or even like Paul, Idaho, where the sugar factory opened in 1917, 19, and then it went 1925. It got the white fly came into the sugar beet industry. So our sugar factory here in Paul was shut down for 10 years. Well, those people that had worked there moved and left, and the bank even folded. So it's just some of these towns hit it and some didn't, and it's kind of like little Hanson and Kimberly. Kimberly's grown into Twin Falls, so you see growth at different times, but it was just sort of like the luck of the draw in a way.
And wasn't there also the town out here south of now Murtaugh? What was the name of that town that folded up, basically?
You know, I looked at that and discarded it.
I didn't mean to catch you on that. I apologize.
But there was a nice big school and a little area there, about 2 miles south of Murtaugh.
Right.
That went up, and anyway, but Murtaugh was these guys all came out of Pennsylvania, and that's where Mr. Filer grew up.
I've got a question. Why Pennsylvania? What was the prominency of these people coming out from that state in particular to come out here? And like you said, Buell and Filer and others.
All of them, yeah. Right.
Yeah. What caused that?
Well, in 1902, the president signs into the Bureau of Reclamation the act for building a dam out here, and then there was free land going to be had, and flyers went out all over the world, actually, and all over this country for this new Homestead Act that was going to have irrigation water when the dams are built and this and that. So a lot of people came out here for speculation.
Oh.
And when they got out here, they found out they were the first ones. So that was kind of neat early on.
You know, but what constitutes a successful town in the Old West? What were some of the things they had to have?
Well, first off, you had to have people here who were knowledgeable about the land, and so that you could file on it if you wanted to, but then you also had to have... But see, by the time that this project opened, it was already 1900.
Oh.
So the turn of the century had changed greatly, and also our economics, our steam and gasoline-powered engines and things like this. So literally, if you wanted to be a grocer, you could open up your shoes or a shoe shop. Everybody needed to have something. We grew up having it already, but these people didn't have it. So if you were a lawyer, if you were a doctor, if you were a physician, or if you were a dentist, or anything, these little towns needed those things, those items to live by. Plus, the railroad had come through here in 1883, so goods could be shipped left and right. They could travel to Boise, or they could travel back home or do whatever and bring their people out here to Minidoka, which was a water stop on the Oregon or Union Pacific and Oregon Short Line when they diverted the railroad down through Rupert to Burley to Twin Falls and Buell. And so at one time, now it's interesting because Minidoka did not become the big town that it was once the railroad got built and people could bring their goods. Now, at one time, there was I found an article that there were 90 railroad cars backed up on sidings at Minidoka,
wow,
waiting to come this way to Twin Falls.
Holy cow.
And a lot of those were families' household goods. It could have been their cattle, could have been any kind of number of things. Building material all had to be shipped in. And so it became the big good town, but it also became a railroad town that it had always been, but where the bars took over. And so people said, well, we don't want to live here. We want to live down there where there's water and where there's other things going, where there's churches or people that we want to be with. So afterwards, the old story goes that the men on the railroad were not coming home back to Pocatello or wherever they were, so the wives got together out of Blackfoot and came down and burned the west side of Minidoka down with all the bars and then dragged their husbands home. So, there's all kinds of fun stories about that.
One of the things I was going to ask you about, Gary, and you and I have talked about these situations many, many times. In the Old West, or at least over 100 years ago in this area, I would imagine that safety and health concerns were not as obvious as they are today. And towns, a lot of them had breakouts of very serious diseases because of a contaminated water supply, etc. Did that ever happen around here in southern Idaho?
No, well, where I found it happened was down in Malad, and with the Dr. Catley, who lived down in Soda Springs. And the Mormon people had moved in there first and had built canals and were doing some irrigating. And what he said was he was a young man out of school, medical school, and came out here. And what he found is that there was a lot of point going around, which of course is bad water. Well, here you had this wonderful water that it looks wonderful, but they were also cleaning out there. A lot of people, we didn't have flushing toilets. We had outhouses.
Right.
We had buckets in the houses in each bedroom or wherever you were. And they would dump it and wash their buckets out in the river. Well, those people downstream would go get fresh water.
Oh.
They thought. And if it didn't get boiled, you had typhoid.
Oh, my goodness.
So he spent a lot of his time educating people on that because, even around here, sometimes you look at that canal water, and if you're thirsty, it looks real inviting, but you don't want to drink it anymore. And so way early on, the water was polluted for various reasons.
Oh, my goodness. I never even thought about that. The people downstream had no idea what was being done, right?
Yeah, not at all.
Wow.
And, it took a doctor to kind of it was the first doctors who thought about, well, what about if we boiled our gloves and rags and water, instead of just using the same bloody rag over and over on someone else.
Oh, my goodness. I know there's books written, Gary, about the old towns of the Old West, the ghost towns, if you will. Does Idaho have quite a few of the old ghost towns where maybe there still are some remnants?
Yes, there are. You can go snooping around just about anywhere and come up with something or not. Sometimes just even like out at Kamima, you can go out there and the old water tower is about the only thing that's left, but you can stand on that little hill and imagine several lumber companies and mercantile stores and all of this stuff up there. And then also later on, it's when right below it became a CCC camp. And so these little towns had a lot of history, but if you just kind of stop and look around, and even like out west of Twin Falls, there's a little place called Tuttle out by Wendell.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a little settlement, sort of like Adelaide was. People set up their wares wherever they were and wherever it was close. But it's still an area. People still know where it was, but at one time it was a meeting place for a lot of people.
The interesting thing for me, of course, being in the horse business all my life, is the amount of horses, and not only saddle horses, but draft horses for all the wagons, the stages, and everything. This must have been a mecca for a huge horse population.
Well, it was. There's great stories of always going every year down on Black Pine Mountain, capturing the horses there, but my dad told me where I live just 3 miles north of Rupert, but up on the rim, every now and then you would see 4 or 5 horses walking along. They were out looking for water here, but they were wild. So my uncles caught one of them and brought her down. Well, she was pregnant and had a little filly, and that little colt, not so much the mother, but now you know about horses. When you get a horse that's wild, it'll start stomping or prancing, so to speak, tail up and letting out gas and hair up and whinnying and doing its strutting dance, I call it. And that little colt was born with that. She never did get rid of it. We had her till she was 20.
Yeah.
But that wild horse stayed in him, even though the mother had been tamed or was probably tamed before. So then down on Black Pine Mountain, these guys were always rounding up horses. And early days, they even sold them to the Army back in World War I when they were still using horses. But a huge amount of them up there. But there was one old stallion that they wanted to keep. And they all wanted him, but they kind of liked the idea of having him instead of capturing or shooting him or killing him. So, but they found a place where he always rested. And as you know, and maybe the people people don't know, but when they defecate, they always kind of go to one area of a corral or something. But this old stallion had a pile of his own manure as high as his back.
Oh, my goodness.
Up there, and he had years and years of freedom. There was nothing there to bother him and whatever, but that was his ground, territory. And as it turns out, somebody later on shot him, but then, the story was over for that.
Gary...
There's a lot of wild stories like that, and most of them are all true. They're all built on truth. Sometimes they get embellished a little, but most of the time it's true.
One of the things that's always impressed me, talking about old towns, whether it was Filer or whether it was Gooding or whether it was Buell, whatever, or anywhere, when I watch the old reruns of like Gunsmoke and you see all the traffic, the horses and the wagons and the buggies and everything else, they really didn't have any stop signs. They didn't have any laws, and nobody's going to be playing traffic cop or giving them a ticket or whatever. It must have been organized chaos back in those days.
Sometimes, but as the first Episcopal Methodist preacher that came out to Rupert in 1905 in September, he later on wrote that when he came out here, he had expected to run into a bunch of derelicts, uneducated people that were sloppy and ignorant, and that he would run into the bawdiest kind of town that he could ever run. But to his surprise, was he found well-educated people who were serious about coming out here and starting a new life, including the women and the children. They were all in together. And at the time, the preachers and the editor of the newspapers were setting the moral barometer for the community. As one of them was, what do you want Rupert to be? You can have it this way, or you can have it the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and of course, the editors of the newspapers were always talking about, well, who had this place, and then it got moved, or it got burned out, or they left, or this or that, and someone else now has taken it over. So they really kept the neighborhood going with who was doing what, even who invited, who went to Sunday dinner after Sunday early on, and they called it the Pages of Times in our newspaper. Today, it's Facebook on a limited level, because not everybody reads that or is on it, but the newspapers, everybody read it, and it was a good place to advertise too.
Were there organized efforts within the various communities, again mentioning towns and cities in this Magic Valley area, whether it's Minidoka or whether it's Paul or Buell, etc.? Did these cities really organize like civic fire departments and that type of thing?
Well, as an example, at Rupert, they had the water well and turned it over into little one-horsepower engines to get their water up. And sometimes they talked about there could be 50 or 60 wagons, mostly pulled by women with barrels, pulling up water to take it to their homesteads. But the other thing is that I guess the towns were a lot like Rupert in that I should say that Rupert, Hayburn, and Asequa were Bureau of Reclamation towns. They were government towns, and they were platted for a specific reason. The Bureau of Reclamation really wanted Hayburn to be the jewel town, city, but as it turns out, they overpriced their lots, and so Rupert sold all of their lots, so then it became the county seat. But there was a lot of organization right off the bat. One example was that they wanted to, one businessman on the north side of the square in Rupert decided that he was going to pull his building across the street, which he could do because they were all on skids and pulled by horses. And so about 5 or 6 guys got together in the same business and says, why don't we save this park, or later on when we get winter, it'll be it'll be a place for our families and everything to visit while we do our business. So they gave him $6, which was pretty good in 1905, to pull his business back across the street. So they were another example was with the churches. There was no denomination. The Methodists were the first to organize in the fall of 05, but they had church services. Henry Catmull, who they were of that ilk of where they wanted something better for all of them. So if they were going to be better, they had to act like it and encourage other people to do it also.
Too bad that we don't have a lot of those same principles today, right, Gary?
You got that right. Some of these churches that started out jam-packed full are quite empty, and it's religion is taking a beating, but that's how these people got through living out here and taking what they did, because through their religion they had hope. Even for those who didn't believe in God or believe in anything, came out here hoping they'd strike it rich.
Yeah.
So there was always hope somewhere, and that comes from somewhere other than yourself.
One final thought, Gary. I'm almost out of time, and I want to ask you this question. When it came to starting and constructing the towns and organizing perhaps the various city streets, what kind of planning did they have? What kind of orchestration, if you will? Let's see, Elm Street will be back here. It'll run this way. I mean, I didn't imagine the problem that they must have had in trying to figure out the parameters of how to lay out a city.
Well, like I mentioned, these first guys that came in who were equipped for the tasks, so were these people in this town, and they built a square around the water, but it wasn't until 1906 that they actually got the right to buy the lot that they're on, because that had to come from Lincoln County, which this was, until and go up to Shoshone and Haley to get everything ratified for this and that. But they also traveled a great distance from here all the way up to Lincoln County, and it was 1913 when Minidoka County comes out of Lincoln, and then in 1919 Jerome County is cut out of the west side of Minidoka County. So there was lots of people, these people that came in who were the surveyors and land levelers, and it's even like the people that came out of Chicago had never built, the Rogers and Bates Company had never built a dam before, but the Minidoka Dam lasted 100 years. So that was pretty good. These guys they weren't any flunkies, and if they were, they didn't last long.
Absolutely. You know, Gary, I've always been very proud to know you and your knowledge of what transpired 100 and some years ago right here in this area. Really appreciate it, and thank you for your time this morning, and I extend to you a very happy New Year. Gary Shoresman, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you asking. It's fun. I enjoy it.
All right, Gary. God bless you.
I get asked a lot of questions, and if I don't know it, I have to start digging in and find out what it's about.
Okay, my friend. Don't make yourself a stranger. Come back. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. A good guy right there, Gary Shoresman. Thank you so much. Time for the weather. As a matter of fact, I'm running a little bit late, but we're going to gallop to catch up. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. I mean, they know. They know the best of tax return preparation, tax planning for you, your family, and your business, business consulting if you're trying to expand your business, add more employees, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. They're the professionals with offices in Burley and Rupert. Don't forget, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Clouds are clearing out, and we should see a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly cloudy skies for today. We are expecting a west wind at about 10 miles an hour. Could gust up to 28 miles an hour and a high of 32. Tonight, clouds clearing out with a low of about 19, and it's still going to be breezy. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of 31. Snow likely for Friday night. Winds are going to continue. Accumulations of 1 to 2 inches is possible, and we are expecting a low of 24. By Saturday, snow likely in the morning, then off and on throughout the afternoon as well. New snow accumulations of 1 to 2 inches is possible, and we're expecting a high of 36. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you so much. And the weather brought to you this hour by our friends at Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And believe me, they are the professionals in accounting services to serve you, your family, and your business. Offices in Burley and Rupert, the best, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. You know, on Thursdays, we always end this hour by asking you the question, are you hungry? and starving to death. Well, I am. So let's tell you about a few great places to go eat. How about the AC Drive-In at 601 East Main Street in Burley? Oh, strawberry, cherry, raspberry shakes for Valentine's Day. That's right around the corner. And don't forget, they got all the delicious sandwiches. The Farmer Brown burger is absolutely fantabulous with fries, special sauce, and a shake. You're going to love it. The AC Drive-In in Burley. Let's move on over to Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Holy moly, what a great place to get together with your friends for a morning cup of coffee and one of those breakfast burritos. Knock your boots off. Delicious. Scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, cheese, onions, tomato sauce on a tortilla shell. Woo! What a way to start the day. All of their great menu choices, absolutely delicious at Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Moving on over now to two locations of Burgers Etc. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. Holy cow, can you believe this? Only $1.29 for a hamburger after 3 p.m. in the afternoon. $1.59 for a cheeseburger after 3. Well, there you go. And don't forget great food, soups, different soup every day. You're going to love the people and the great food at Burgers Etc. 2 locations, Rupert and Burley. Well, I'm drooling all over the table. I'm so hungry. Let's move on over to Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Food made the way you love it. How about those delicious buffalo burgers and cheesy broccoli spuds? And they've got cupcakes. What a sensation that is over there. Different flavor every week. Cupcakes galore over there at Steve-O's. Great people serving you. And they're open Monday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Steve-O's in Hayburn. And those are just a few wonderful places to go if you're hungry and starving to death. Oh, I am. Got to run, and we're going to get set for the CBS News and then come back with another hour of all kinds of goodies for you on Zeb at the Ranch. Wheels, take it away. Good morning once again, and here we go, saddling up the horse for one more hour on Zeb at the Ranch for this Thursday, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations here in the Magic Valley, serving you with the best of tires to get you through whatever the weather throws at you. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, our dear friends over at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends, and I urge the seniors that are listening to this program, write this number down and call Kelly and Matt Wiggins and try to get an appointment time to go by and see the beautiful facilities for you. A 12-bedroom home and, of course, housekeeping and snacks and 3 meals a day and local transportation, all included in the rent. You better check it out today. The number is 650-4979. That number again, 650-4979. Call them today at Greystone Crossing Senior Living, where seniors live the good life with friends. Want to also remind everybody, too, about our friends over at 7K Metals. I've said this many times on the program, and it's really the truth. Deanne and I were introduced to 7K Metals about a month and a half ago, and it's a great way through purchases of silver to help yourself build your own financial security and future. I mean, you can create your own bank, so to speak, and it's a really great opportunity for you, and it will be a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. I urge you to call Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259 and tell them I told you to call, because I guarantee you 7K Metals can help you, your savings, and your financial future through the purchases of silver. Check it out today. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line. And, Wheels, do we have Dr. Shank on the phone?
Yes, sir, we do.
Well, thank you. We're going to have the superintendent of schools for Cassia County Schools on our program right now, talking about the upcoming district supplemental levy, and that's going to be on March the 10th. Good morning, Dr. Shank. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing well.
Well, here we go. You're going to be talking to the people in the audience this morning about an upcoming levy, and I think the best thing to do is start right from point A on the Monopoly board and explain why you need it and how much money do you need.
Okay, very good. Well, if you'll indulge me, first of all, I want to state that we're always grateful for our taxpayers' support and how it is that they express their desires to support the schools through being taxed, and that's something that I want everyone to realize that we're very, very grateful for. So getting down to brass tacks, March 10th, like you stated, we'll ask our patrons to come to the election box and vote for the renewal of our supplemental levy, which has been in place for, I think, decades, about 40 years now. And we're asking taxpayers for $2.19 million, which is close to what we've been asking in the past, but represents a little bit of an increase. The specific things that we ask for and why we do it is there are typically in all school districts there is a need to do some things that are under local control, things that people say this is of interest to us, and it's not necessarily supported in the state allocation that we receive each year. And so there's a list of those things and why we need it. For instance, this year in our materials that are available to everyone, we're asking for some extra dollars to support a science curriculum adoption, to continue some school nurse salary and benefits, to continue the school resource officer that's currently part of our staff, classroom supplies, extracurricular activities. We also have been receiving some grant help with the Connect for Hope and Help program. And although grants are great and donations are always great, they're not always stable through time. And so we'd like to make that program a permanent item for us. And then we've gone through a strategic planning process and continue it throughout. It's not a one-and-done type thing. It's a continuous. And so there's some strategic items that need some additional funds, and so we put that in the levy. We want to continue our efforts towards library materials. We need more books and things for kids to be able to do in our libraries. The 5x5 AB block schedule transition in the event that there's new courses developed and some additional supplies that are needed, we'd like to be able to fund those. Continued counselor support. We have added some counselors at Burley High School and Burley Junior High because of some growth, and so we want to make sure that we can continue that. Some additional vocational CTE initiative dollars, and then safety communications intercom systems in our schools are getting aged and need to be replaced. So those are the reasons why we do it, because those are local items that aren't necessarily funded by the state.
Jim, let me interrupt you right there, if I may, and go back up a few categories, and I'd like you to be more definitive on what the Connect for Help and Hope really is. I don't understand what it is, and I'm not sure the audience does.
Sure. Cassia County School District in 2018 started a program where every student that needs mental health services can access a qualified mental health provider through the Connect program. And so if a student's struggling, let's say with a suicide issue, then they need some professional help, we've made it possible through assistance from our patrons for students to be able to just pick up the phone and dial a number and actually make an appointment and get some help with a qualified therapist. These are things that are beyond typically what a school counselor can provide. And there are no barriers. We don't want any barriers for students that are struggling with such issues that they feel that they need to do self-harm. And so this program uses our employee assistance program through Bloomquist Hale that has the therapists, and so that connects them directly to that type of help. And it's been great. It's been very successful this last year, and we've had wonderful support from our community in getting the program going and keeping it going. And because it's been so successful, we want to make sure that it has legs and can survive through time.
Let me ask you this. Of the categories that you discussed and the amount needed, I guess the bottom line is a lot of people are going to say, okay, well, what does that mean to me and how much more out of my pocket?
Yeah, great question, and I'm glad you reminded me of that. The good news with this is there'll be no additional levy rate on the supplemental levy. Our combined rate is 0.0029, and because of some opportunities that we have with our bonding, we're able to receive those types of dollars through the supplemental levy without raising taxes. So it's an opportunity that we have to be able to do these things, and your rate will stay the same from the school district taxation. And it might not go up unless your property tax values go up, but that's a different story that we don't control.
Right.
But the rate itself has not changed, and through time, I was looking back on our historical levy rates, and we've stayed under 0.003 all the way back to, I'm looking at the chart now, to 2009. So that's a pretty good position for the school district.
And I think it should be pointed out, too, that in the letter of information regarding this supplemental levy, it's been approved consistently for the last 40 years. So this isn't anything new and innovative. It's been there for quite some time.
Oh, you're right. You're right on. There's nothing new to this. It's something that I would say is part of our culture of support for our school system.
You know, Jim, maybe the question I should ask next is they can go to the website, which is www.casciaschools.org, but I'm sure a lot of people are saying, well, okay, fine, where do we go to vote, and what are the times on March 10th?
Well, it's your typical polling. You know, there'll be early voting opportunities, and then on the 10th, people can come in and vote during the standard hours. I don't have those sitting in front of me. They're usually, 8 o'clock to close of day.
Okay.
That you can go in and vote at your typical polling place.
We will keep plugging this. I hate to use that word plug, but we'll keep it in front of the voters and the people of Cassia County right up until the 10th. While I've got you on the phone, I want to ask you this. Half of this next school year is over, and we're looking at going into spring. It's hard to believe. What about the school year so far for Cassia County schools?
Well, we've been working hard to improve student achievement. That's been one of our significant goals, and I think I've spoken on the program before about professional learning communities, and that was our objective to accomplish this year. We're going to have a big training to try to get everybody on board on the 28th and 29th, so we're pretty excited about that. We believe that our student achievement is increasing and improving, and there's just been some good effort by staff, principals and teachers to implement this program called PLCs. So that's one of our good news pieces.
Well, it sounds to me like you've got a lot of optimism for Cassia County going into the future for all the schools. Anything else you want to bring out this morning? Go ahead.
Oh, just, I always want to say thank you to everybody for their support, and given that it's a levy election year, and I know we'll be able to provide more information to people, we'll have lots of opportunities for folks to come in and participate in a forum, that we'll put over Burley High School or another school that people can come in and ask direct questions if they need to.
All right, we have a caller with a quick comment or question. Caller, I've only got a minute left. Real fast, please.
Yeah, I was just curious, if this doesn't pass, will the taxes go down? And can you use the money that you get for anything that you kind of want, or is it dedicated to those things you talked about?
Yeah, these dollars are dedicated to those specific line items that I discussed, and you can read online if you chose. If it doesn't pass, I mean, we would probably go for another effort. This is one of these critical items that we have counted on for the last 40 years in our budget. It's one of those things that's embedded. If we didn't do those items, you can see how devastating that would be to the district.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. I just wondered if the price would go down on our taxes.
The tax rate goes down. Yeah, I mean, obviously you'd be taking a levy item off the table.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you, caller. And Dr. Jim Shank of the Cassia County School System, thank you so much for being on the program this morning and talking about the upcoming district supplemental levy election on March 10th. And I'll probably have you back on before that event, and we'll talk more about it in the future. Thank you so much.
Very good. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting part of our Cassia County school days. And another lady that I want to thank, and I thank her all the time, but not enough. She does a phenomenal job, and that's Debbie Critchfield. I can't say enough about how she organizes all these programs and the guests that are on the air for Cassia County School Days. Debbie Critchfield, thank you very much. Right now, I want to remind you about what's going on over at Patterson's Electronics right there at 421 East Main in Burley. My goodness, these are nice people. Curtis and Lorena and the staff, and believe me, they want you to know that they've got car audio systems. The new models, I mean the new and improved models are coming soon, so stay in touch with Patterson's in Burley. You know, of course, they've got all the home theater systems and the video surveillance cameras and the complete sound systems and all the television sets. Wow, they're there to serve you, and serve you they do. Free delivery of TVs in the area, and they've got the text to set them up too. Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call, 678-6997. You get a hold of them today. And while we have just a moment, I also want to take just a little bit of time to talk to you about our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. Hello, Jeff. How you doing, and the whole crew over there at 459 Overland in Burley? They are having their January flooring event. What does that mean? You can carpet your entire home and save a whole bunch of money. Standard carpet at $69 per month. Better carpet at $89 per month. And your premium carpet, El Primo, at $99 a month. And you can check out the huge selection of flooring that's in stock. Don't forget, too, they've got the luxury vinyl for your entire home. All of this and so much more. I urge you, rather than pay attention to me, you just pay attention to the people that know, and that's Jeff and the crew at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley, with that huge January flooring event going on right now at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. By the way, Wheels, get on the microphone just for a quick second. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
I want to compliment you on an outstanding job that you've been doing here the last couple of weeks, and boy, I'm just real tickled with you. So I thought I'd sit here and watch your hat size go up.
Well, thank you. I won't get too big-headed, but I really appreciate that, sir. I really do, and to be honest with you, I'm going to keep it short, but we have your guest for you. So.
Well, I appreciate that, my dear friend. Right now, we're going to go over to Barry Equipment and Rental, and we're at the 159 Highway 30 location. Hello, Cody. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself, Deb?
Well, how much snow you got on the ground over there?
Less than you think. We got a lot of ice, but yeah, we got a little bit of snow, and now it's kind of starting to come off a little bit, so not too bad.
Well, I tell you what, it's wintertime, and we got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I want you to tell me what, at this time of the year, going into January already, and then pretty quick February, March, April, and we're at springtime, what's cooking over there at Barry? What are the hot items that people need to know about that you have for sale and or rent?
So right now, we're still, like you said, we're still right in the middle of winter, and there's getting some snow on the ground and ice and all that kind of stuff. We're moving a lot of skid steers right now, using them skids for basically everything. I mean, you got them out on the dairies, and they're using them to, push snow and all that kind of stuff. And we got, you can put a snowblower attachment on them and do all that when there gets to be a little more snow. And so we're moving a lot of skid steers right now in the rental and the sales side of things. And, we're doing a lot of other things, especially because, how it is right now, construction is booming. And, so we're still doing a lot of rough terrain scissor lifts and those kind of things to make sure we get all those projects done this winter.
Cody, tell me this. We kind of gloss over it sometimes, but you've got excellent lease rental rates and also great financing programs to purchase. Talk to us about those.
Yeah, so we can basically customize whatever we need to. We, OAC, we can get as low as 0% financing for 60 months. Leasing options, like I said, we've got a bunch of different options that we can go with. We can kind of customize it to whatever we need to do, but we do a lot of 2-year 2,000-hour leases, 3-year 3,000-hour, those kind of things. The nice thing about the leases is that you can do them for a 2 or 3 year lease the entire time that you've got, say, a skid steer or something like that. The entire time you have it, you've got it under warranty. We can also sell a planned maintenance package with that. That basically takes care of all your services and those kind of things. So definitely a lot of different options that you can consider with us. So it's a good deal.
The other day, I guess it was before Christmas actually, just before I curtailed the program for the Christmas holidays, I had a gentleman call and he said, when you're talking to Barry Equipment and Rental, why don't you just have him give us a quick rundown on all the equipment you've got available over there? Can you do that in about 3 minutes?
Well, there's quite a bit. I mean, we've got 3 different locations. I mean, obviously I'm here in the Burley store. We do have a location in Twin Falls, and we actually have a 3rd location up in Nampa. And we've got a ton of different things. We got the skid steers, we got mini excavators. We've got, your big wheel loaders and the big excavators. We've got scissor lifts. We've got little Coyote tractors. Bobcat actually just came out with their tractor again. They kind of went away from that for a few years and redesigned it, and now they've come back on the market with their tractor. We sell Walker lawnmowers, which is kind of the top end of the commercial side of lawnmowers, but they are just coming out with their new residential lawnmower. And those mowers are pretty nice because you can interchange the decks. So you can take that thing off the front, the mower deck, you can take it off the front and put a snow blower on the front, a broom, a bucket, a snow blade. I mean, they've got all sorts of different kind of things there. We've got a ton of different things, and best thing to do is if there is anything that anybody is needing, to just, make sure you give us a call and make sure we can get you taken care of. But, we do everything we possibly can to make sure everybody's got what they need.
Cody, let me ask you this question. Wouldn't it be also a great idea, I'm sure that you've got a website, does it explain everything on the website?
It does, yep. If you were to go online to www.barryrental.com, we have a ton of different things on there. We list, a lot of new equipment sales, used equipment sales. Explains a lot of the rental stuff. It shows all our locations and addresses and contact numbers and all that kind of stuff. So definitely if you're interested in trying to find out a little bit more, but you're wanting to look online, just hit us up at barryrental.com and you should get a bunch of information there.
And the other thing I wanted to mention real quick is that if people are timid and they say, well, yeah, I need to rent that equipment, but I don't know how to drive it, I don't know how to run it, I don't know how to operate it, what do you tell them?
We every time somebody comes in here and is wanting to rent a piece of equipment, no matter what it is, to get their job done, we have certified guys that are out in our yard that walk people through exactly how that machine runs and how to use it. Our big thing is, we want to make sure everybody's safe and understands the equipment before we send it out there with them. So we do a walkthrough just to make sure there's no questions. But if there is questions or anything like that, the yard guys that we have here, we've definitely had times where we send them out to the customer's place to, kind of help them out a little bit more. So we'll walk you through it and make sure you understand it. But if there is still questions on it when you get out there, we have no problems coming out and helping you out a little bit so that you're comfortable with it.
Okay, last question I'm going to ask you is, what are the hours you're open, and give us the locations again of Berry Equipment and Rental.
Yeah, so right now we are still in our winter hours. So right now we are open here in Burley from 8 to 5. And then we have the store in Twin that right now I believe they're still open 7:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. Closed on Saturday. Twin is open on Saturday until 2. But if you needed to give us a call, up at the Twin store, the phone number is 208-732-7368. The store here in Burley is 208-678-7368. And then if anybody's trying to get a hold of me personally, needing anything rental or sales, you can give me a call at the store here in Burley or on my cell phone, which is 208-654-8183.
I'm going to tell you something. You're getting good at this, Cody. You're going to have to do this every day.
Well, I try. You're doing good yourself there, Zeb.
Hey, buddy, thanks for being on the program, and we'll send everybody over to Berry Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. God bless you, man. Happy New Year.
Awesome. You too, Zeb. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Really, really good people over at Berry Equipment and Rental. We appreciate them. I'm going to send this back over to Wheels. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
With all the instability that we have seen in the world over the last couple of months, thank you very much, Wheels. We've heard that once. It's great to hear it once, but not twice. With all the instability in the world that's going on, whether it's Iran or North Korea or anywhere else there's a hot spot, I want to always promote the people that I think are going to give us straight answers on what's happening in the world with the foreign policies, energy policies, etc. That's why I really consider this next man a true friend of this program. He's always been a straight shooter, and I say good morning to Dan Perkins. Dan, good morning, sir. How are you?
Yeah. Good morning.
Good to have you aboard, Dan. It's been quite some time. I hope you had a good Christmas holiday season.
I did. I did a lot of flying around visiting my children and grandchildren, but picked up a cold when you're dealing with grandchildren, but I'm on the mend. So how was your holiday?
It couldn't have been better. For the first time in 5 years, my family, my kids, and their family, we all got together on Christmas for the first time, like I said, in 5 years. It was a blessing.
Good for you. Good for you.
Dan, I wanted you on the program because you're a man of common sense, and everything you said I've followed, and I really adhere to your words regarding foreign policy and what's going on. And I guess the bottom line question, very put simply, is what and where are we on this Iranian mess right now?
Well, my perspective at the moment is as disappointing as it will be for the Democrats, Donald Trump proved the way he handled the situation that he is the president of the United States. No question. He was measured. He didn't react emotionally. He didn't say launch everything. He waited till the assessment came in so that he knew that no Americans were killed, very little property damage, and he chose not to retaliate. And I think that he proved himself that the American people, the 62-plus million people who voted for him, they got the president they were looking for. And I think he did a phenomenal job. As it relates to the problems, the problems, you know, one of the things our lovely mainstream media didn't tell people is that before this person was assassinated, this terrorist, this villain, this ugly person, just before Christmas there was a protest in the same streets of over 1 million people who were protesting the government. Mm-hmm. And in its bureaucracy and the way it squandered money. And 1,400 people were shot by the government in that protest. 7,500 people were arrested. You didn't hear about that on the major news.
No.
And so what's going on is we're seeing a country in turmoil. And the government, which happens to be the religion, is between a rock and a hard place, because what Mr. Trump has done in terms of economic sanctions has cut off huge sums of money for the government. Zeb, you might remember just before Christmas, OPEC was meeting in Vienna with their annual meeting.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to cut 500,000 barrels a day of production. Added to the 1.2 million barrels that they'd already cut, that 1.7 million barrels of production that OPEC cut their income by $102 million a day, which means that the OPEC nations and OPEC Plus have less money to try and take care of their people. The Iranian people are smart enough to have figured that out, and they know that they're going to get less and less services, and it's going to be more and more difficult, especially as the president's sanctions click in. So the government found itself between a rock and a hard place. It had to do something to try and, at least for a while, placate the unrest from their people. The killing of their number one terrorist created a short-term opportunity. But one of the things that I've been talking about for some time, Zeb, is that we have to have standards of how we can judge the reaction to events, not based on emotion, but based on facts. And I've been saying to people, when we see these kinds of things happen, when we saw the bombing of the Saudi Arabian oil field, I said, watch for three things. Watch for what happens to the price of crude oil, what happens to gold, and what happens to the yield on the 90-day Treasury bill. That will tell you what the world thinks, not what the reporters think, what the world thinks about the outcome. And as we had the attack on the embassy, we had, again, looking at those three things, not a lot happened. The bombing attack a few nights ago, during the night, before we knew any of the details, the stock market sold off about 400 points. Gold was over about $27, and oil was up to about 64. Now, when we found out there were 15 missiles and 4 of them didn't work, and that none of them hit American personnel or other personnel, none did very much damage to the infrastructure of Iraq. The markets came back and set record highs on Thursday. Gold fell $27 an ounce. Crude oil dropped below $60, so it dropped $4. And the 90-day Treasury bill, which is the world's safe haven, did nothing on the attack and stayed rock solid through the attack and into yesterday and today. So the investors, the global investors, told them through the markets this was not a big deal, and the president didn't make it a big deal.
Absolutely. Dan, I want to go back, if I may, a little bit in our conversation and go back to the media. There were so many errors. There were so many allegations that were unfounded, like CNN came out and said that over 30 American soldiers had died in the missile attacks, and MSNBC also said that, and they came out and said that the Trump administration was in complete disarray and we're on the brink of total chaotic war. I mean, the media, in my opinion, and especially over the death of Soleimani, they almost were in remorse and almost were delivering eulogies for one of the biggest terrorists in the world, and also at the same time condemning our own president. What are your thoughts about the media?
Right. Well, but Zeb, isn't that the way they've been for the last 3.5 years?
Absolutely.
They didn't change their pattern. They just simply decided they were going to report whatever they wanted to create the greatest amount of emotional impact, and as a result, they reported false news and But they've gotten to the point now, Zeb, where that doesn't make any difference to them whether they're reporting fake news or not. They just do whatever they want to do to create whatever it is they're trying to do in terms of sway the American people. The problem is that it's not working any longer. The American people understand, and they've seen so many examples of where the news media has misled and tried to manipulate the American people. News media didn't win any favors in the way they handled this event. In fact, there were some people who were saying that the American news media was hyping this event into something greater than what it really was.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to sound probably to you a little naive when I phrase this question, so be kind to me if I'm not saying something correctly. But all of this with Iran and the problems of we took out their General Soleimani, they came back and really didn't hit us. They made a little show of strength that didn't amount to much. But my question entails, what does this do in the thought and the mindset of North Korea with Kim Jong-un? Does that change anything?
Well, I would say I want to just change your question just a little bit. What does it do to the mindset of not only Kim in North Korea, but Yi in China? See, what we have seen is a confrontation on the world stage, and Donald Trump came out strong and the winner. And I think that it has serious implications with North Korea and China. They now understand that America has a president that you can't screw around with, and you can't intimidate, and you can't coerce. And as a result, I think we'll begin to see some softening of the rhetoric in North Korea and maybe some interest in talking again. And I think the trade talks will move along with China, because they understand now that they got somebody that is not like anybody they've ever had to deal with. I mean, you know, I've said this on your program before. The United States from 1942 until 1917, almost 75 years, we were no longer energy independent. We relied upon foreign sources of energy to fuel our economy. When Jimmy Carter was president, we were importing at least 65% of our energy from the Middle East. And you and I both know that there were periods of time when there were embargoes, and we had gasoline rationing and everything else going on in the United States. They had control of our economies. When we became energy independent, and now we're the largest producer of oil in the world, exporting at least 4 million barrels a day, the whole thing changed. And most people don't know this, but China is dependent for 65% of its oil on foreign sources.
Mm-hmm.
65%. They are where we were with Jimmy Carter. And so they're very vulnerable. And so what we have is, for 75 years, the Middle Eastern people under the OPEC nations fed at the trough of petrodollars. And as the governments got more and more money and more wealth, they provided more and more benefits to the citizens. And so they became fat and dependent upon the government for their sources of income. And what happened was we, on the other hand, we were more compliant because we were concerned about the impact that the OPEC nations had on our economy, our national security. So right now I can say to you, there is no national security interest for the United States any longer in almost all of the Mid-East except for the purposes of Israel. Other than that, we have no reason to be there because we don't need their oil. And the fact of all this turmoil in the last 12 months has seen very little change of the oil markets. The oil markets are telling the world the United States doesn't need Middle Eastern oil anymore.
Dan, I want to take the last couple of minutes here and talk about President Trump primarily. When he strode to the podium yesterday, and without saying good morning, good afternoon, or whatever, he just said that Iran will never have a nuclear bomb as long as I'm president of the United States. That set the tone. And I saw, if you will, standing at the podium, a man that was kind of measured like John Wayne and Matt Dillon all in one, because he was being very forceful, very succinct, but yet very calm and measured, and I thought it was his greatest response since he's been president of the United States.
I agree. Totally, I agree. And this is, you know, the Democrats have been saying, well, he's not presidential. He doesn't act presidential. He doesn't speak presidentially. He shouldn't be president. And yet I said earlier in the show, when I saw what he said yesterday and heard it, he was the president of the United States, and I mean in the greatest sense of the word, he was presidential. He was doing exactly what we think the president of the United States should do in a situation like what took place with Iran the night before. And he took his time and got his advice and decided this is what he was going to do. So he looks very presidential, but when, as you said, pointed out so eloquently, when he started the discussion, they will never have a nuclear weapon as long as he's president. He basically put down the gauntlet to the Iranian government. You're not going to get one.
Absolutely.
And we're going to do it.
Absolutely. We've got a caller with a comment or a question real quick. I've got 2 minutes left in the segment. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
So, we got our own oil now. Where do we stand technology-wise, and where do we stand food-wise?
All right, I'll have Dan answer that on the air. Go ahead.
We have not exported, from a technology standpoint, much of the technology that we have used in the fracking of existing fields. The Saudis have expressed some degree of interest in it. So the technology that we developed here in the United States, the fracking technology, which is increasing the oil and gas supplies, is predominantly still here in the United States. We are looking for nations who have the resources and historically have not had the technology to develop those resources with fracking they do now. And so we can help those nations develop their own energy sources so they will be no longer dependent upon Middle Eastern oil for this oil.
Dan, real quick comment about the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi and others trying to basically hamstring President Trump with a curtailment of his so-called presidential powers. I want you to quickly elaborate on that.
I would thank you for that opportunity. I would say that it's not that they're trying to control his powers. They're actually creating a coup. And understand that, and I wrote a piece that appeared on Christmas Day on Clash Daily. What we have is that the Nancy Pelosi is trying to change our form of government. Our form of government is a republic, not a democracy. She wants to change it, and she wants to break up the branches of power and make the Congress and to make the Speaker herself the most powerful person in the government. And she's doing that by withholding the impeachment papers because she now has control of what the Senate can do, and she's not going to do anything, she says, until she sees the terms and the conditions. But she's creating, in essence, the impeachment, turning it into a vote of confidence, like they do in England. Number two, the war power situation, which she talked about this week, was done based on their early interpretation of what happened in Iran, and she's trying to, again, neutralize the president, create a coup, taking away presidential powers without a constitutional amendment or vote of the people, by simply saying, we're not going to allow you to do that. That's what's really going on here, is a coup that didn't happen with all of the other parts of the government, with the FBI and the Justice Department and the intelligence departments. She's trying to do it, and she's trying to destroy the Constitution, which she's always wanted to do, and she's found two ways to try and do it. She's losing support among the Democrats who are out now talking about let's get this thing on in the House and in the Senate. But I think she's going to sit on this bill of impeachment until she sees what the outcome of the election is. And if they lose control of the House, she will use the lame duck session to send the impeachment orders over to the Senate, and that Donald Trump will start his second term with an impeachment trial.
Oh, my goodness. You are absolutely one of my favorite guests because you tell it like it is. Nationally recognized expert on foreign policy and energy. Really enjoy having him on the program. Dan Perkins, God bless you, man, and Happy New Year. Thank you.
I'll look forward to talking to you again real soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dan. I consider him one of my premier guests. He's been with us many, many times and absolutely knows all the answers to the various questions as to what's going on with energy and also foreign policy. Dan Perkins out of Florida. Right now it's time for the weather. And the weather brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, my goodness sakes, all the different meats. Oh, my. Whether you need tri-tip or marinated pork ribs or all the different kinds of bacon or sausages or the bratwurst, go to their website. Just go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and just sit back and browse, and you're going to start licking your lips and going, holy moly, let's call Scarrow's right now at 324-7657, and they can help you with all the different delicious meats. Please remember Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Gino with the weather.
Clouds are clearing out, and we should see a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly cloudy skies for today. We are expecting a west wind at about 10 miles an hour. Could gust up to 28 miles an hour and a high of 32 tonight. Clouds clearing out with a low of about 19, and it's still going to be breezy. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of 31. Snow likely for Friday night. Winds are going to continue. Accumulations of 1 to 2 inches is possible, and we are expecting a low of 24. By Saturday, snow likely in the morning, then off and on throughout the afternoon as well. New snow accumulations of 1 to 2 inches is possible, and we're expecting a high of 36. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Snow, snow, snow. I don't really care for that, but it's winter time, and of course we're going to take what they give us. Thank you very much. Scarrow's Meats, absolutely the best at 331 North Road, Jerome. Don Scarrow and his entire crew really, really serving you the best of meats. Call them 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrow's Meats. I am very appreciative and very thankful for all of my advertisers and all of my sponsors, and I want to give a great big shout out to the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and their 7 locations. My goodness, with this snow in the forecast and colder temperatures, don't forget they've got the best of tires to get you through anything the weather throws at you. Like they've got the Road Control tire, all-season tread, smooth, quiet ride, or the Winter Cat, increased stability, advanced winter traction, all of these and so many more. All the tire chains, the best in brake service and front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, and it's available. All of this available at all the 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland and Burley. They are the best. That's not brag. That's a fact. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for making this a great week. And, boy, have we got some home runs to hit next week. We've got, on Monday, Richard Manning, Frosty Woldridge. We've got, at 10:30 on Monday, the start of our series of the Idaho Legislative Update, sponsored by Handy Truck Lines. And it'll feature Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, next Monday at 10:30, so don't miss that. And, we always wrap up the program by saying, the way things were are the way things ought to be. But the 4 most important words for our program: in God we trust. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there. Zeb at the Ranch. We'll see you Monday at 8:06.